All right, we got two. Yay, you're back on. Yeah, Tanya. Good morning again. Sorry about that. I have no idea when it kicked me off, but I hope you all did. Was it on long enough where you were able to see the bird land on top of the cactus? I hope you did, because that was kind of a cool moment. I was commenting on how I barely ever see that, and then all of a sudden it happened right as I was live streaming. Um, so these are some of the cacti. No, we missed it. Bummer. Well, let's see. Maybe we can luck out again. So over here, as I was sharing, is my favorite cactus. Let's see if I can get it in frame. Um, Over here is my favorite cactus. It's funny that when I came out here, people would talk about having a favorite cactus and all that kind of stuff. And at first, to be honest, it sounded a little odd to me. But then all of a sudden one morning, I'm like, I have a favorite cactus too. And here it is. And you just missed it too. A songbird came and really got aggressive with me. They must have their nest close by. So this, we'll go to the wider view first. Here, oh, we're starting to get really bright. Got to knock down the brightness a little bit and then increase. No, 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 no. Hold on just a sec. We'll do this. Just, there we go. I can, oh, not that far. as, uh, as I shared with you, this is kind of an interesting process to learn how to use my camera as a webcam. Um, there now you can see a little bit of the mountain in the background. It's a little dark, but yeah, they always talk about having a favorite cactus. And I have one. It's this one, and every once in a while, I've been you really luck out and you're able to get some birds that'll land on top of these cacti while they're in bloom, and it really makes for a pretty picture. And I was just commenting, Tanya, when you missed that. Yeah, it is beautiful. That it's my favorite cacti, but whatever I was able to get a bird on top of it, and then a mourning dove landed on there, and I was hoping I was still live streaming, but I guess it must have timed out. The the web server here is, or the excuse me, the network here is very spotty at best, um, which actually is a blessing when you're in the desert for a program in prayer, because then you're not as inclined to be online when you just know you're going to have some issues with the internet. But um, so yeah, I have two people online. I know Tanya's online. Who else is on with me? Feel free to drop a comment. Also, too, is the I remember last time we had a problem that when I streamed, the audio got choppy. Is the audio choppy or smooth? Because I can't really tell here. I know, Tanya, you said you can hear me, but I was just curious if you're catching all the words I'm saying, or if it's still getting a little choppy. But smooth for me. Good. I'm glad to hear that. Um, so this is one of the arms, or actually, excuse me, the top of this cactus. Um, oh, I got a mourning dove here. Let me see I'm going to be quiet. Hold on just a sec. This will be well worth the wait if I can pull this off. Come on. There. This is the mourning dove. Every morning, this mourning dove comes and greets me, and hopefully, it'll just be about its work as we're talking. See if I can sharpen up the focus just a touch. There we go. Yeah, just about every morning when I pray, this I don't know if it's a male or a female, um, but yeah, they're out here every morning. I don't think I can take a picture. Nope. But we can enjoy it for a little while. Got a little nervous there too because as I was just looking at our internet connection, thinking this better be still connected. Um, Looks a little out of focus. Let's see if I can. He's looking a little nervous. Don't be nervous. Don't be nervous. You know, something that just happened there with the bee that came into focus or into screen. It'll actually, this mourning dove will actually kind of fight with the bees. It's interesting to watch. One time, I got a picture of it. It didn't quite come out as nice as I was hoping, but I got a picture of this bee was so annoying it that it kind of jumped up and flew in the air. Oh, there it went. Uh, Almost if it was trying to fight with the bee. I'm just going to leave it here because sometimes, now that it's identified that it wants to be on this cactus, sometimes if I just wait a little bit, it'll fly back on. So we'll just give it a second. But yeah, these are the blooms on top of the cactus. Now that it's away, I'm going to do a little bit of a better. I'm going to move this a little bit just to get a slightly better look at the top of this. I don't know if you could hear the rattle. There it goes again. That's the Gila woodpeckers and what they're doing. And I don't know if it's like a calling thing or what, but over by the bird feeder area where we eat, there's this big dish on top of it. And it's the only time of the day it'll do it, but in the morning it'll go over and pound against the plastic of that dish. And it's almost like a little bit of a church bell in the morning. It's the only time of the day they do it, so they must be communicating something specific that they're not communicating throughout the rest of the day. But you can see the honeybees are out starting their work. So we're up to 5 now. Cool. So did any of you get, because I laid out my whole, this is how I'm going to drive home. Did that come through at all, or did that get cut off the last time? Does all those blooms on top of the cacti all bloom eventually? That's a great question. I'm presuming so, especially since we've had a lot of rain. The cacti they're all a little bulged in the center, and that's the telltale that we've had a lot of liquids. So they definitely have enough water internally to all bloom. But what the interesting thing is about those blooms is it's different blooms every day, and most of the time, those blooms, different birds, they bloom at 10 o'clock at night. At least that's what somebody told me anyway. And in a 24-hour period, most of the time, those blooms will get eaten and picked apart by different birds. And so they never look exactly the same every day, but being that there's so many of those little bulbs that do bloom, most of them will bloom every day. But that the I'm presuming that the all of them will either bloom or I don't know, maybe something just might eat them. If but to be quite frank, the only thing I've seen up there is birds with the spines. So they're beautiful though, and a beautiful way to start my day every day. So the last time I was live streaming, because I kind of laid out when I'm leaving and traveling and all that kind of stuff. Did that come through last time or no? Because I was just going to kind of explain that, but oh, hi, Mom. I saw your comments on there. So, but oh, both Mom and Dad are watching. Great. Um, no, missed that too. Yeah, that must have kicked me off right away. So basically, for those who are interested, I'll be leaving next Wednesday. With all the coronavirus stuff, the flight that I was going to take got canceled, and then the rebooking got canceled, and then the next rebooking got canceled. And there was a little message from them saying, don't be surprised if this rebooking gets canceled too. So I called the diocese just to kind of get a little advice of what should I do. Should I stay here longer? And inside, I wanted to drive home, and I told them that. And the diocese said, "Go ahead, drive home. We'd really like you home on by May 15th as planned. So figure it out." Which I was very much at peace with because that's what I wanted too. And so Enterprise gave me a great deal on a rental car. 3 days, unlimited miles, $280. Um, but the drive home, basically, I was planning on breaking that drive up over 3 days, so I wouldn't have to drive the entire thing at once. Um, and But now, since coronavirus broke out in Gallup, New Mexico, I don't have to drive through Gallup, but because of that, almost daily, it feels like there have been um, there have been roads closures throughout New Mexico, and a couple of them are the roads I was going to need to take. And so, who knows? Maybe in a week's time, those roads will open back up again. But I might end up detoured. Um, there was part of me that was thinking there's another way I could go home through the mountains, which I'm not terribly crazy about that idea. Of doing long distance driving through the Colorado mountains. But it's if there's one thing that coronavirus has taught all of us is, don't get too married to your plans because um, those they can change in a hurry. On the subject of plans for parishioners, I am going to be mailing out a letter. I've been talking with staff about putting together a little plan called being that the governor is calling ours the Badger Bounce Back Plan. That for St. Olaf, I'm putting together the Welcome Home St. Olaf plan, and we're waiting to send that out because with all the legal challenges happening in Madison, and also the bishop is meeting with the deans today. I want to do as much as I can to make sure that there's just one set of information sent out so it doesn't get confusing. I'm pretty sure we as deanery clergy met last week, and pretty sure we have a pretty clear sense of how this is all going to come about. But once that's done, keep your eyes open in the mailbox, or your eyes on the mail. Um, I think my mourning dove left, so we'll try another cacti for a while. But keep your eyes on your mailbox, and you'll be getting a letter from me probably early next week, kind of explaining how are we going to reopen the parish again. One of the difficult things in a fun way about trying to take pictures in the desert, everything is beautiful out here, and every inch of this terrain is a picture. And as this is my favorite cactus out here, so I'm just gonna hopefully we'll luck out and get a bird to pop on top of it. I don't know what it is, but there's just something about um, the arms and the flowers on top of it that whenever I see this cactus, it always just reminds me. I gotta get it in focus for you here. Hold on just a sec. It just reminds me of, I don't know, it's almost like every morning it's just dropping off a bouquet of flowers to say hello. And it's just beautiful. There we go. That's what I was trying to do. And again, this is another cactus that I was so excited that earlier a bird landed right on there, and I thought, oh, that's a beautiful picture. But then the bird flew away. Sounds like you're going to get the scenic route home. Yeah, probably more scenery than I expected for Tanya. That's for sure. But and don't get me wrong, I've had a good sabbatical. I've enjoyed it. Love the desert. I'm not necessarily. I hope that this 20-degree weather that's coming on Saturday gets out of its system before I get home. So that I'm not. I'm not terribly looking forward to, but I'm getting ready to come home. I miss everyone. I miss my backyard. I don't know if it got cut off. Might have got cut off on my first attempt to stream, but being I've really fallen in love with taking pictures of birds. I've got a lot of ideas for trying to turn the backyard, the patio area outside the rectory, into a bird haven when I get home, so I can do a lot of bird photography just right outside the rectory. And so when I get home, I don't have to self-quarantine when I get home. Since I'm driving, if I would have flown, I would have had to self-quarantine for 2 weeks. I am going to kind of just lay low for the first couple weeks, and not get too involved with things. But after after those 2 weeks are done, I'll be a little bit more active. But for those 2 weeks, what I'm going to primarily work on is just getting that patio together and maybe plant some things. I don't know if any of you would have some suggestions of things to plant. I was looking at trying to find things that would attract hummingbirds and cardinals, and I found online there was some indigenous milkweed that they recommended and that I planted, a couple indigenous Wisconsin things. See, Tanya, I'll pray for warm weather for you. Yeah, when you get here. it'll be so nice to have you home. I'm really looking forward to being home, Tanya. And I'd like selfishly it to be a little bit warmer too, because boy, to go from like yesterday was 105, and my body's starting to adjust to it a little bit. But boy, that felt oppressive at 105. Um, and then the locals say, "Oh, Father, this is nothing." When the monsoons come in, gets about 10 degrees hotter, and then there's an extremely high humidity and it just storms like crazy. Um, but I would imagine that'd be kind of a shock to my system to go from 105 to 28 in a 24-hour time period. So hopefully it'll bounce back up to the 50s or 60s by the time I was home. Have it feel more like a relief from the Arizona heat than jumping from the furnace into the ice box. So, but anybody got questions for me? Anybody at home? The birds are not as active as they usually are this morning. It's sad. I was hoping I could luck out and get you some nice views of Arizona birds, um, but see, I'll just kind of redo the composition here. It's always, again, this is just such a beautiful place that just about every place is a picture. And so when I'm trying to figure out how am I going to show this off to people online, um, at one level, it's not hard to do because anywhere you look is beautiful. Um, but there's also a part of it that is difficult because, what part of the beauty do you show the most of? Here's a little distant group of flowers and cacti, and maybe we'll catch a bird landing on there. The humidity is always the hardest part of weather. Yeah, that's been the real godsend around here, Tanya. That even though it's hot, it's a very dry heat, which makes it very manageable. Cindy, uh, um, what Lantana? I don't have my glasses on, so I'm having a hard time reading. Is an annual that bees and hummingbirds enjoy. Oh, I'll have to check that out. Thank you. Blooms colorful and do well in a pot. I also I have to figure out my rabbit situation because last year when I tried to do some potted plants, rabbits and squirrels had the seeds and plants eaten pretty quick. I heard that cayenne pepper. I was reading somewhere that that's for rabbits. If you sprinkle some cayenne pepper around your rose bushes, that'll drive the rabbits away. It won't hurt them, but it'll probably annoy their nose where they'll leave them alone. So yeah, maybe in addition to suggestions on things for me to grow in my garden, if you could throw some things to how do I keep the vermin from, especially if I'm going to do like container stuff, how do I keep the the things I don't want to eat my garden with? How do I keep those little buggers away? But I don't think today is going to be as hot as yesterday here in the desert. I think they said that it was um, uh, uh, rabbits don't like marigolds either. Oh, okay. Put them around the edge. It's a good suggestion, Cindy. Thank you. Yeah, I don't. As I was saying, I don't think the heat's going to be as extreme today. And it's kind of funny to hear. Everybody I'm coming to find that no matter where I am, everybody likes to complain about the weather, um, no matter what that weather is. And so last night at dinner, um, that we were just kind of talking about the weather, and the locals here said, "Oh, we can't wait till next week. It's We're gonna have a cool down. It's just gonna be in the low 90s next week." And I had to smile a little bit because back in Wisconsin, if we would talk about 90s, oh gosh, we're not going to go out and do anything. It's way too hot. And but it's true, that. And granted, like I said, minus the humidity, it's a lot more tolerable. But um, you know when when we talk about the weather, and it's interesting how different regions have a different perspective on the weather. And I also, there's this one priest here. He's an older retired Redemptorist priest, probably the most positive person I've ever met in my life. There was this one moment where he came in for dinner last night, and they said, "Oh, how are you? Are you suffering through the heat?" And he just had this big grin on his face. He's like, "I love it. I love the heat here. This is my favorite time of the year, and just not a complaint at all." So it looks like I'm going to be doing marigolds. What about milkweed? I never have thought about planting milkweed as a standalone plant. I guess from home, I just always thought of milkweed as a weed. I've heard that hummingbirds really like milkweed, and also monarch butterflies too. I was thinking they really enjoy that. I don't want to plant anything that's going to take over the yard. I guess want to stay on good terms with a neighbor when I can conceptualize and think about what I'm going to do for a garden. But so yeah, so if everything goes according to plan, I should be home. Uh, I should be home the evening of the 15th. And the other thing I forgot to mention too is that the really slick part about the rental car situation is the drop point for Enterprise. There's two in Eau Claire. One's the Enterprise rental place that's kind of over by Chilson's, but the other place is the Eau Claire Airport. So when I get home, I'll literally be able just to go to the house, unload the car. I don't have that much with me, but then drive up to the airport, drop it there, and just walk home. Since the airport's only about a quarter mile from my house, so it's going to be a good setup, and that's going to be a nice. It's going to be a nice way to conclude. So, um, all right. Well, we have mass here right now. Here it is 7:05, and we have mass at 7:30. So, unless anybody else has any last questions for me, I'll just start the process of signing off. We can have the long Minnesota goodbye, and I'll say goodbye to you, and you can type in goodbye to me. But thanks for joining me. I know I did this earlier with sunset, but I thought it might be fun to do sunrise. So, but yeah. So one last look at the closest cactus to me. Who knows? Maybe we'll luck out in another bird. The other fun thing to watch is, with these cacti being so tall, um, as the sun rises, um, these flowers, I mean, they don't look different, but they illuminate so differently throughout the morning. It's just really, in many ways, it's fun just to watch how the very appearance of these will change throughout the course of the day. Well, we had a bird and now we have a bee, so we'll wrap up here at the end with a bee, honeybee doing some work on top of the cacti. So yeah, so just closing thoughts before I wrap up. Again, I'll be leaving next Wednesday. Pray for safe travels. Pray that I don't get detoured too many times from closed roads. Um, and I'm going to take 3 days to drive home. And hopefully, I'll be seeing you all on the 15th. You'd have a great day too, Tanya. Thanks for joining me this morning. And I hope it gave you all something a little different to watch and enjoy this morning. So, Mom, I know you were on, so I hope that you have a good day too. Thank you for your prayers, Tanya. Um, but Cindy, I know you've been on too, so keep on doing all you do. But and with that, I think we'll sign off. So thanks, everybody. Have a good day. We'll talk to you soon. It was fun to have you join me.